Hey guys, it's Tyler from Plastic Weekly here at the Canadian Open Bouldering Nationals at Up the Block in Mississauga, and I'm here with Jean-Marc de la Plante of the Alley Up Climbing Gym family. For those of you, or for those people that don't really know, like the reach of your empire, could you just brief everybody on where you got started and the gyms that you're involved in right now?
Sure. Yeah. I started with Alley Up. My family bought the gym in 2003.
Okay.
I had been working there for 5 years already at the time. And so in 2011, we built the new facility in the silos. And then after that was kind of the start of the expansion into other cities. So in 2015, we opened 7 Bays Bouldering in Halifax. And not too long after, we opened Boulder House in Victoria. And then Up the Block the gym we're in right now in Mississauga, and very recently purchased Joe Rockhead's in Liberty Village in Toronto.
Joe Rockhead's is one of the oldest, if not the oldest, climbing gym in Canada. And so when you take over a gym like that has a lot of history and a lot of character, what kind of considerations are you taking when you realize, it has an existing brand, but now you're responsible for its future? What was the thought process with that?
It was a pretty scary thing, I have to admit. We were very conscious of the history, and we wanted to kind of build on what they had as opposed to wiping the slate clean and starting from scratch. So we wanted to be very careful with, the thing that I love about Joe's and why I was interested in it is that there's a very distinct climbing culture there in terms of the route setting, for example, is very specific, and that style has kind of gone into, in Montreal, for example, we had Joe Rockhead setters like Tamer El-Sheikh come over in the 2000s and was kind of like blew us away with his setting, and so to me it was like we don't want to come in and change all that. We wanted to respect that, but also I think just breathe new energy and new life into it, and so far I think that's going well. People are happy that we didn't come in and just change everything, but they're also eager, I think, to know what our plans are. So that's cool that people are very receptive.
Cool, man. Now another thing is when you own or when you're so involved with so many different parts of the Canadian climbing community, your impact is kind of almost oversized, right? The family of gyms employs so many different route setters. It has such an impact on the Canadian climbing community. So when you've thought about that responsibility, especially in areas like Halifax, where 7 Bays is possibly the only real commercial gym, have you thought about, what kind of role you want to play in those communities when you're really maybe the only resource?
It's a good point. I think one of the things that I've tried to do is always get involved, like in Nova Scotia with 7 Bays, we have Paul Densler there, who's like the head setter, and really he's become kind of important in the community there. Even though he's originally from Montreal, he happily lives in Halifax and is part of the community there, and gets involved with Climb Nova Scotia. And I see, for me, it's like what I'm starting to notice, being in so many gyms, is that I'm noticing the same problems kind of everywhere, and I feel like I'm in a position to actually help and do something and kind of warn people like, hey, you're going down a road that they tried this in BC and it's not going so well, or maybe something went really well and you should try this. So I think the biggest hurdle right now for me, and what I'm learning and trying to get better at, is creating channels of communication between the facilities, between the people that are running them, and between the people in the periphery of those gyms, like the PSOs and the people who are really involved in comps, judges, commentators, things like that. Just trying to bring people together. We have a huge country, and we know how to do a lot of great things, but it could be even better if we all work together.
Cool. And my last question is, all of the gyms that you have opened since the Alley Up rebuild have been bouldering only facilities.
Yeah.
You bought Joe Rockhead's, and of course it has a rope history, so it has those existing walls. But from the entrepreneurial standpoint, is rope climbing something that you feel is viable right now in the type of real estate economy we have? What are your thoughts about building those kind of gyms with that kind of height?
That's a really good question. One of the things that we realized when we opened this place is that Ontario still loves to climb on ropes. Okay. We got we kind of laugh it off, but got some bad reviews on Yelp because people are like, "Hey, like where are the ropes at?" It's like, we're a bouldering gym. We don't use ropes. But so when the idea of buying Rockheads came up, it was like one side of it was about being able to offer both. In two distinct environments, so like a rope environment and a bouldering environment. And I have to say, it has woken me up to the fact that there are tons of rope climbers out there that feel a little bit neglected, possibly because everyone's opening bouldering gyms. Yeah. And there's a large number of people who love to climb ropes. And what I've started noticing at Alley Up is there's a lot of people who were intensely bouldering for 5-6 years, and now they're just like, okay, I need to chill and climb some 510s on top rope for a little bit because I'm getting older, my body can't take it anymore. So I see a lot of potential in rope climbing, but your comment about the real estate, the realities of real estate it's especially in an environment like Toronto, it's going to be really hard to open a rope facility in this city. There are very few spaces, and if they do exist, they're very, very expensive. So in purchasing Rockheads, we kind of fast-tracked that process when we're able to get into a space that already had, albeit only 32 feet tall, but a rope gym with decent lead walls and a good playground. So that was kind of the strategy there for that one. Yeah.
Cool. Well, thanks a lot for taking the time, Jean-Marc. Really appreciate it. For more stuff coming from Canadian Open Bouldering Nationals, stay tuned to the Plastic Weekly YouTube channel and also just plasticweekly.com. And I will see you guys in the next one.